We're kind of a hub for all these different craftsmen that we build a team for each specific job, and our work is very much a hybrid of all these different trades and all these different traditions.
My main role within the team, I think I'm generally best at working with the structural aspects, and that's normally sort of my designated slot, and then I sort of move around after that.
I've been in the building industry most of my life, really, on and off. I'm also a silversmith, and I've done a lot of model making, architectural model making in my time as well, so I bring quite a lot of different things to the party.
My main role here it's a complicated one, because I do a lot of sort of talking to clients and negotiating and that sort of thing, and then right through to make. You know, everybody in here, we all design, we all make.
I used to do a lot of traditional joint, dovetail, really working by hand, not using much power tool. That's probably what I do best, if I could say.
My role within the team is workshop based. I'm a cabinet maker by trade, so making really primarily on the workshop floor, everything from cabinets to some of the larger scale builds that we work on.
The workshop goes between absolute chaos and relative calmness, and no one really knows when it's going to change. So at the moment we're in a sort of in a state of relative calmness, but you never know. In a week's time there'll suddenly be 10 people in here and piles of sawdust up to your armpits. And
we work with steel, with glass, with concrete sometimes, a lot of hardware.
My favourite physical tool would probably be my block plane. It's got me out of a lot of tricky situations, that one. A lot of desperate times where you're just trying to get something absolutely perfect.
Through doing a lot of historic building restoration, I think a circular saw and a framing chisel, 1.5-inch framing chisel, and a mallet are the three tools that I'm most used to using, and you end up using them, you know, lying on your back and in all sorts of funny things. So I would say I'm most at home with those tools. And
I really like my chisel. It's really something I try to take care of, and they're always very sharp, and it's always a pleasure to use them. So it's just a hand tool that I really like to use.
I suppose I like a good route, really. Router's always a fun tool. It always does, you know, it does a variety of different things, and it's probably the tool that can transform things in the most interesting way.
You know, I'm very fortunate to work and do so many interesting projects, but we did a beautiful pergola out in Kuwait, which I loved a lot. The George Clarke's Amazing Spaces, I think it was series 3, I loved a lot. Yeah, in general, I enjoy all of them, and every project brings different things.
There was a really beautiful moment in London where we were building an exhibition at King's Cross Station, and we'd been working for maybe 3 weeks solidly, and the last 3 days I think we must have had about 6 hours sleep, and it was about 11 o'clock at night and we'd finished. We had to get off the site because when you're working at train stations they're really strict on deadlines, and it was just a mad rush to the end. And then we pulled down the temporary fences that we had up, and within 30 seconds people that were walking past were just getting involved with it and really like starting to touch. We had 3,000 injection moulded balls that you could turn and make patterns. Within seconds you could see how people interacted with it.
It's probably a few years back. We had some furniture to make for a church in Czech Republic, and it was all really nice and well designed. And for a church it's always interesting because you know it's going to last for a lot of years. And that was a very interesting project and very nice.
One of my favorite projects is one of the first ones that I worked on with William. We did a playground for a school in London for special needs children. A real dynamic range of physical disabilities. William did this incredible design, and in the centerpiece of that design was a rocket ship that we kind of collaborated on and worked with a local metal worker as well. And it was a real masterpiece in the end. It was a real triumph.
I enjoyed us building the tree houses in Kielder. I think that was a real achievement, because really until then we didn't really go out there to build, you know, standalone structures like as big as that and as complicated as that. And I think it deserves a lot more credit than it got, actually. I think it was a wonderful, wonderful piece of architecture.
I think the main thing that ties all these projects together is a philosophy, really. A sort of desire to do things well and to do things properly. And just a passion for carpentry and a passion for design. So that's where we're going. That's where we're heading, for the sky.